wow, this movie is great. Wow, this movie is. If I was to give this out of 5, I'll give this a 4.9. 4.9 out of 5. Yeah, I really. If you have kids, go take them out. Go watch this movie. If you love animation, go see this movie. If you love good stories, go see this. If you've ever enjoyed movies from the 90s, animated movies, 2D animated movies from the 90s, if you love the style, if you love the quick banter in their dialogue, if you love that style of animation where the key animations looked very fast and some movements looked very fast, they had that authentic drawn feeling, watch this movie. Yes, it's a 3D movie, it's a 3D animated movie for some parts, but they picked the discipline from the 90s 2D animated movies and somehow translated them into a 3D movie. But I think that's because of the director, because Chris Sanders worked on a lot of the 90s and early 2000 animated movies. I'm talking about Lion King, I'm talking about Beauty and the Beast, I'm talking about Aladdin, I'm talking about Lilo and Stitch, and then in the animation department you had him in Trolls, Madagascar. So you can see that this guy is a veteran. He understands that style of animation, he understands animation. He's actually very influential when it comes to animated movies of the 90s and the 2000s. And you can see that in this movie. Yes, it's 3D, but the way the characters are animated, it feels like, it feels like they took this movie, they made it into a 2D animated movie, and then they went like, wait, can't we just do something different with this? And then they translated that into 3D, because the movement doesn't feel like 3D. The character motion doesn't feel like 3D. It feels like it was keyed, it's keyed like a 2D movie. The frame rate, while it feels smooth, it has those characteristics that you see in 90s animated movies, and that's what I appreciated about this movie. Now, apart from the voice work, which is you have Lupita, who doesn't sound like Lupita, because you can hear the Lupita that you recognize in the background, but she still sounds so robotic. But the way she's able to deliver some lines, especially during that crazy beginning, man, this movie is awesome. Let me tell you, there's small moments in this movie that will just make you smile, and they just come and go. Like this one, there's a moment with a bunch of raccoons that will have you crying, man. So the opening, when she crashes, and you don't see the crash, but when that crash happens and she finds herself in this crazy forest with all these crazy animals, that makes for a very, very entertaining, segment. And then you've ever wondered, if you watch the trailer, you probably wonder how is a robot talking to animals. But they handle that in a very smart way. They make that idea of her being able to speak to all these other animals in a very simple but creative way. I thought that was very, very smart. The other thing, generally the story is, I think it's more of a motherhood story, and the reason that I keep saying that you should see this with your kids, and I would suggest that I would highly recommend that you go see this with your kids, is because I think the whole story is more of a fairy tale. It's such a wholesome story, man. So you have this robot that crash lands on this particular planet, and the planet has all these animals, and then now you see this is a service robot. It comes from this our planet, and it's designed for service, to serve people. And so it doesn't know animals, it doesn't know. So when it's interacting with all these animals, it's interacting with all these animals like they are people. And so now the robot comes across this egg, and then there is a small duck that comes out of that. And now the robot has to learn how to take care of this small, this small creature. And then so you follow the journey of that, and then since it's a story about robots, eventually in the third act, robots will show up, because the robot is designed when it discovers that either the function or the robot is lost, or this is not where it's meant to be, it can send signal back to the planet, and it will come and it will get picked up. And so the third act of the movie, which now includes the villain, who the best way I would put this is, the villain is not an animal, the villain it's more of a robot. But yeah, it's connected to that idea of you send that signal and then you come get picked. And so that's where you get different kind of robots coming in, and then you get, and then the ending, I don't want to spoil it for people. The ending, I don't mean the ending when Rose gets to go back to her planet. I mean that, the ending, there's something they did. There's something they did especially, there's just something that they did that is very, very satisfying. I thought, and you can see the director understands how to make people feel something. Because there's some scenes that play out and you go like, oh, so this is the ending, I get it. But then they add something to the actual ending. And you go like, wow, thanks, we needed that. We needed you to do that because it can't just end the way it ended. That was a very satisfying ending. So yeah, it would make, basically what I'm trying to say is that this movie will make you feel something. Yeah, and it takes a lot because I watched Transformers last week. I thought it was a very good movie. I thought they nailed the emotional moments. I thought they nailed the action. But that felt like a 3D movie. Even the movements, they didn't treat the 2D animation, the animation like it was 2D. They treated the animation like it was 3D. So they had a totally different approach. This one, the emotion is there. It feels like a Disney movie from the 90s. The emotion is there. And then the animation, it's 3D, yes, but they took the discipline of 2D animated movie, all the laws of 2D animated movie, and applied them in this 3D movie. That's why some movements feel they're satisfying. There are things that happen that are very, very satisfying. There are a lot of things that you will see that will make you smile as an adult, and they will just make kids just fall in love with some characters. There's a death scene where a particular animal is supposed to pretend to be dead, and then the animal has all these other babies and 2 babies, and then they have to explain why they have to play dead. I mean, there are just so many sweet moments in this movie that just are perfect. Now, I don't know if I spoke about the world. My ideas are everywhere because this movie is it's just awesome. It's just perfect in terms of story, man. So in terms of, I keep talking about 3D, but now the world looks like a painting. It looks like 2D. It looked like it was like literally hand painted because it looks so good. The color work is good. You can see the rendering, you can see the brushes on the trees. It's so detailed that I couldn't make out what was happening because is this 3D given, rendering of 2D? Is this 3D made to look like 2D, or was this actually 2D? Because my eyes tell me that this is 2D, but the things that are moving around are 3D. And the blend of that just makes for a very interesting take on animation. So yeah, if you get the time, if you have fans, if you have friends, if you want to feel something, if you want to feel that, you see the way sometimes when you want to cry, that feeling that you get, yeah, this movie will give you that feeling. So basically that's it. Remember to always watch what you enjoy. I gave this a 4.9. This is a very, very good movie. I mean, the voice work with the babies is, it's so cute and it's so good. And then you have these small moments of this, for example, the first time that Rose the robot is building this thing. She's building this thing that looks like a house. And then she's carrying all these huge, barks and woods, and she's just arranging them. And then the scene just, pans to the left, and then you have this small bird, arranging small sticks. And that's so small moments like that just makes this movie just more than it just makes this more than just any other animated movie. Still on that scene, you have now the Rose arranging all these huge sticks together, and then you hear a small tack, and then the small bird has like the small, the small pieces of wood too, and then the robot lifts her up, and then she's arranging her own small. Wow, yeah, this is great. I'm sorry, this is great. I'm just, it's so rare today to find stuff like this, man. Heartwarming stories that just make you smile. I feel like I'm watching Winnie the Pooh from the 90s. I feel like I'm watching what was it called, Gummy Bears from the 90s, man. There's that heartwarming feeling that you don't usually get with this modern 3D movie. So this movie is great. Just if you get the chance, please just give it a try, give it a watch. You'll have a great time. So basically that's it. Remember to always watch what you enjoy. I know I've been everywhere, but yeah, see this movie. Adios.